converting earthly language into thrust. As you kneel before Azar, where legend of Zelda's turn to dust. Podcasting from the future like your time was dead and gone. And we rock the best site like ComicsOnline.com. Level 12 cybernetics, vibranium power acts. You communicate with snail mail while we wireless adapt.
Hi guys, you're here with Aussie Dave and I'm at front of Allstar Comics here in Melbourne, Victoria. Today we're going to be interviewing Mitch, one of the co-founders of the store, and just have a chat with him and see what his inspiration was for starting a comic book store.
Because if it hadn't been popular, people would have continued to make Green Lantern movies.
Hunger like Sinistar, consumer culture, then Galactus. Final Fantasy domination with our super geeky tactics. From the days of Marconi to Buff and Loud and Best in City. You can hear us on every radio, Stolen and Vice City.
Hi guys, I'm here with Mitch from Allstar Comics Melbourne.
How you doing?
And we're here to talk about what he's doing here, basically. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. Straight up.
Good man, good man. Awesome. PlayStation or Xbox?
I would have to say, just currently, because I'm with Xbox, but I've floated between the two before. I've dabbled in the two.
Fair enough, fair enough. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Your favourite superhero?
One.
Well,
My favourite character is not necessarily a superhero, I guess, would possibly be Hellboy. It's one of the sort of favourite characters for a while now. Yeah, not necessarily my favourite comic book as such, but it's my favourite character. Yeah. So
okay, all right. Yeah, I'll pay that. Yeah, all right. He's
red.
He's big.
Yeah,
it's cool.
That's right.
Down the back.
Big stone hand.
Yeah, all right.
Level 12 cybernetics, vibranium power acts. You communicate with snail mail while we wireless adapt.
Have you got anything at the moment that you're currently reading?
It's quite funny. People are sort of like, you're in a comic book store, you can read everything, and it's it is actually a lot of work, keeping the store sort of up and running. So it is hard actually finding the time. But there's some amazing books out at the moment. We're one of our big books that we're a huge fan of at the moment is the latest Daredevil run, which is awesome. It's been absolutely fantastic. So it's written by Mark Waid and has a rotating cast of different artists on it. But just really brilliant. It has this awesome Silver Age kind of sensibility about it, but at the same time, sort of modern action as well, which is great. So it's a really, really good series. Beyond that, you've got obviously the new DC 52 books, and there's 52 of those, and at least a few of them have been pretty exciting. There's the new Batman book by Snyder, which has been awesome. There's Wonder Woman, Superman, Action Comics by Grant Morrison. So there's some really, really interesting reads in there. And then there's obviously stuff coming up as well in the next couple of months, which is looking pretty good as well. So.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We are more than ECIs. We just tend to blow your spot. You're a copy of better tech, like your name was GoBots.
How long has the store here been open?
We've just actually celebrated our first birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back February 4th.
Oh, yes.
So it was an interesting first year for us, and but it's been a real eye opener. It seems like we've been well accepted into the Melbourne crowd of comic book collectors, which is great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I guess when we first opened up, one of the main sort of motivators for us was the fact that we felt that there was honestly a gap in the Melbourne scene amongst the stores that we thought that we could bring something to and fill. And each store, we've found that people will be extremely loyal to whichever store they want to shop at, which is great because each store offers something slightly different than the last. Right. And we just thought there was things that weren't being done in any of the stores that were around at that point in time, and thought it's a chance for us to maybe have a crack at it ourselves, and working 13, 14 years in retail before that, it's sort of like, oh well, let's give it a shot. If anything, if it doesn't work out, we just go back to working retail. So wouldn't be so bad. But it's been great. We've both got sort of a love for the books themselves, and even more so for the community aspect that sort of comes along with it, because throughout the time that you are serving people, you meet a lot of guys and guys and girls that are awesome, and it creates a really good sort of vibe, I guess, when you sort of come through the store, when everyone's sort of that whole cheer sort of thing, people know your name and you feel comfortable in this sort of space, right? So it's really cool.
Fair enough, fair enough. When you first opened, did you have like a massive flood of nerds coming in here and just ripping things off the shelves?
No, it was interesting because myself and my business partner Troy, we previously worked in another store for about 13 years, and obviously within the community, I guess you could say that we were sort of known, at least associated with that store, and so it was one of those things that we kind of hoped that people would look for us, I guess, and it was really interesting. We didn't really necessarily expect many people to show up on the first night, but we had a grand opening and put that up on Facebook, and probably about it was great. Probably about 100 people showed up, and it was really good. And at the time, obviously, we didn't have like a huge amount of stock, and it did look quite bare after the evening was sort of done. People sort of were like, "Oh, I want to show their support by buying a thing or two," and it was really good. It was really great.
Nice.
Podcasting from the future like your time was dead and gone, and we rock the best site like ComicsOnline.com.
The range of people we see come through our store is fairly diverse. You would find that at the moment there are a lot of new younger readers sort of coming through the store because of the DC 52. They've set this whole idea up of new number ones for new people to get on board, and that includes obviously new readers. There is a large portion of young fans out there that are just looking to sort of have an entry point, I guess, which is pretty cool. Beyond that, there are this book's for everybody. So our clientele sort of reflects that as well. There's purely sort of adult mature reads in the books from Vertigo or any of the independent stuff. Majority of the books, no doubt, that are the most popular stuff is obviously the superhero stuff, but anyone sort of finds that sort of readable. So it's really across the board actually. Guys, girls, it's grandparents, kids, it's everybody. It's great. It's really cool because it does feel at this stage that more and more people are finding comic books far more accessible, and it's no longer has that kind of stigma really sort of attached to it, right? Which is great. So it's no one's ashamed to be seen sort of reading a comic book on a tram or at school or anything like that, which is pretty great. So
that's good. I can't argue with that.
The guys that come into our store are very laid back, and we somehow have avoided having the intensity that some fans can kind of bring to a store, which is I mean it happens in every store from time to time, and it's people kind of focus on it as because they've seen it in The Simpsons or the Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. But it's it's funny because that stuff, it doesn't really happen that often, or as often as people might think. So I think that's it. Most readers, most of our customers are pretty laid back sort of crew. So they're very cool.
You hoping for iTunes, but little noob, you in the danger zone. We're all the best leaders like Serpentor on his throne.
Have we got anything big coming up for the store that we can expect?
This week today there was actually the Big Ass 2 comic launch, which was a local guys getting together and launching 15 separate books.
Oh wow!
In one hit, which is pretty amazing, and most of those books will be available on our shelves pretty soon, which is pretty exciting. Beyond that, next week we've got a podcast recording for Non-Canonical, which is one of Australia's sort of biggest comic book podcasts, and that's a lot of fun. That's the 100th episode, so that'll be really cool. The store will be packed for that. Sort of beyond that, there's Free Comic Book Day coming up in May, which is the 5th of May, and first Saturday, and it's that's always a massive event for any store that takes part in it. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it. I'll be here.
Excellent. Good. Well, there we go. That's it. It's a brilliant idea, right? So and people seem to come in from everywhere, which is awesome. So it's a really good vibe.
Beautiful.
Written by Stan the Man, don't you ever try to serve the new guys of this book like we were drawn by Jack Kirby.
Have you got any thoughts on comic kind of geek pop culture life here in Australia?
I mean, just judging within the last, you could say, 18 months or so, we've seen Non-Canonical as a podcast show up and gather steam sort of there with a growing sort of fan base. that was coupled with this moving forward of the Melbourne comic book scene. Then very soon after that we opened, and so like there was kind of three sort of major things sort of happening within the Melbourne scene, at least very close together. And it doesn't feel like it's really lost momentum. It's just it just seems to be sort of moving forward, which is great. So we've been open for a year now, and the store feels like it's been going from strength to strength, and on a daily basis still people are still finding us, which is awesome. So it's we're still in that stage of I guess we don't feel like we're old news yet, which is great. So it's it definitely feels like there's just more to come, really. The Melbourne scene for comics in particular is massive. It's potentially the strongest it's actually been in years, which is great. So we're pretty happy to be sort of a part of it at this point in time. So it feels like somewhat of a golden age for the local scene, which is great. And beyond that, there's obviously the conventions now. There's the major ones in Supernova and Armageddon that happen yearly, and they're always they have a massive amount of people show up to it. People interested in so many different facets of obviously sort of geek and culture, which is great. And and then you've got I think a new one this year in the Oz Comic Con as well. So it just seems to be sort of growing and growing. So it's definitely an awesome time to be sort of part of everything.
Are you guys going to have a booth at OzCon?
It definitely looks like it at this stage. It's because it's still myself and my business partner Troy. We're doing things sort of by ourselves for the most part. It is a bit tiring, kind of trying to do we leave the store open as well, and sort of be down there at the same time. But it's always good to sort of get the name of the store out there a little bit more, I guess. So and you're just reaching more people that way, which is great. So.
Very true. Can't argue with that at all. I think that's about all we've got. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. No, too easy.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, thank you for taking the time.
No problem, sir. That's fine, man.
Appreciate it.
No, it's very cool.
From leaping tall buildings to going off like gamma bombs. Switch your internet browser to ComicsOnline.com.
I noticed you've got a ping pong table over there.
Yes.
A, that's awesome.
Yes, yeah.
And B, have you played beer pong in there?
No, there hasn't been an official beer pong yet. It's no doubt it will happen at some point. But we have got an actual tournament going at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the Allstar Open. We've got a trophy, and we're coming very close to actually wrapping that up very soon. Our next sporting event will be possibly the All-Star Grand Prix, which will have slot cars for that, which will be
awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah, so. But that's we're hoping to get the grand final, grand slam of the tennis tournament done in the next couple of weeks, which should be a lot of fun. So we're going to have stadium seating and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool.
That's awesome. Best idea ever.
Yeah.
Mitch, you're obviously the heartthrob of the local Melbourne comic scene. You clearly work out. Can you give us a few tips on how you stay looking so good?
Is that how good I'm looking on that thing? Yeah, it's excellent. Thank you. That's great. So, Troy's to David and Jayden over here. So,
Nice to meet you, Jayden. Thanks very much for doing this.
It's fine.
That is great. So
I thought you guys were showing up at 5, so...
No. We just packed up.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Planning to start at about 5.
It's worked out all right.
Yeah,
it worked out all right?
It was a great turnout. There was a lot of people there and buying heaps of books. It was really,
awesome.
really cool. So
that's very cool.
It was great.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, their bags that they were giving out didn't stand up too well, so
that's all
they kind of fell apart. But
not in this weather.
But everything looks really good.
Wow.
So that's Matt's, his friend Peter, the older guy.
Yes. Yep.
So that was really nice, and then there's a bunch of other stuff there.
That's cool.
So I think we'll have to do a wall of fame.
You're the best. Yeah, I like it. That's good.
That's I think on the inside because it wouldn't go on the
front. Cheers, All Stars. Yeah. Excellent. True stars indeed. Yeah. Thanks, Bruce. Oh, that's very cool.
We should open a comic book store.
Yeah.
Totally should.
From leaping tall buildings to going off like gamma bombs. Switch your internet browser to ComicsOnline.com.